Welcome back. We're at it again. 5 more Security Plus questions to help you gain your certification. 5 more in-depth questions. We're going to go through these questions. We're going to identify why they are or were not the right answer. And hopefully this gives you some idea of how to pass your exam. So that's what our goal is for today. Let's jump right into it. Question number 1. A company has recently experienced a data breach. An investigation revealed that the data breach occurred due to a failure in the authentication system, which allowed unauthorized access. The company decides to implement a MFA system to prevent future breaches. What type of security controls the MFA system, and what security concept does it primarily enhance? This is a great question to understand where things lie when we're going through this. So a double-edged question. You might see one or both of this type of question on your Security Plus exam. We want to keep our questions, we want to keep our answers about 30 to 45 seconds. We really don't want to go over that 45-second mark. And there's a lot of information on this one. So as you're reading through this question, I know you're hearing me talk in the background and going, man, shut up, I'm trying to read. But as you're going through this, understand that we really don't want to spend a lot of time on this. We want to go through, we want to read the question, and then we want to read the answers, and then we want to reread what is the question really asking me. That's a key concept. CompTIA loves to answer questions or to give you these long paragraphs and then ask a question to that paragraph that may or may not have actually given any real value to the question they're asking. And so be prepared for that. That is a common tactic that you can see from CompTIA, especially in CompTIA Security Plus, especially in Security Plus, right? All right, I'll give you a second to answer this one. What do you think? All right, let's knock this out. Let's knock this out. If you need more time, go ahead and pause it. A company has recently experienced a data breach. An investigation revealed that the breach occurred due to failure in the authentication system, which allowed unauthorized access. The company decides to implement a multi-factor authentication system to prevent future breaches. What type of security control is the multi-factor authentication system? And what security concept does it primarily enhance? I think we can safely get rid of D. Like, I think everybody knows that D, physical control, has nothing to do with a multi-factor authentication system. Like, you're not going through and stopping somebody with MFA, right? What are you going to do? You're going to toss a card that says MFA, stop. It's like tossing the Uno card over there that says reverse or stop or whatever, right? Skip. So physical control. I feel like we can get rid of physical control. I feel like we can get rid of operational control, B, as well. I feel like operational control doesn't make a lot of sense. Multi-factor authentication system is definitely a technical control because we want different aspects of technology to enhance our authentication. So normally in a multi-factor authentication system, we've got just the username and password. That's something you know, and then we add something onto it. Now that something could be something you are, somewhere you are, something you do. It could be all those different aspects of it, all of which are technical controls when you group them together to provide that layer of authentication. And then availability. Availability doesn't really make sense as well. While we're maintaining the aspect of availability with MFA, I don't feel like that's the best way, right? And so it's really not providing that availability when we think about what availability really is. And so that's a twofer. That leaves A and C. Both are technical controls. In this particular instance. Now, I have seen where Security Plus gives us 2 of the same answer, hoping to lead you down that road. But in this case, that's not really the case, right? So we have 2 technical controls. So we have to identify, we know it's a technical control, but is it confidentiality or is it integrity? And I think this is where the problem lies. A lot of people think, okay, well, you know, if it's not availability, if it's definitely a technical control, which one makes more sense? What would make more sense when we look at it? Well, if you think about confidentiality, more often than not, we look at confidentiality as being, you know, encryption. And in this case, we're talking about authentication. And so a lot of you probably went, okay, well, that's more of availability. And I would tend to agree with you on that one. But MFA really has to do more with a technical control, not with an operational control. And we know that. So the real part is it integrity, i.e. ensuring that the data remains unscathed, the data remains active the way it is, or is it more confidentiality where the data is secure? And I would argue that it's more confidentiality more than integrity. And so the answer in this one is going to be C. If you got C correct, Congratulations, good job. If you didn't, that's okay, as long as you learned something. As long as you learned something, that's all we care about. All right, moving on. Question number 2. An organization noticed unusual network traffic patterns indicating a possible DDoS attack. Which mitigation technique would or should the network administrator use to prevent the impact of such attacks on the enterprise network? What do you think? What could we do to mitigate a DDoS attack? What do you think? Remember, 30 to 45 seconds. Read the question, read the answers, reread the question. Make sure that the question is asking what we think it is. I see so many times in these questions, when I teach in a classroom environment, where students, they read the question and they're like, oh, I thought it was asking this. And it's like, why did you read it? Right? Make sure you understand, what is this question really asking me? And the question is asking, which mitigation technique should the network administrator use to prevent the impact of such attacks on the enterprise network? It's not asking anything else. CompTIA will always provide you a question, and that question is identifying what they want. So don't read too much into it. Remember, keep it simple, stupid, KISS methodology. But what is the question asking me? That's really what we're going to go with. That's one. All right, let's knock this one out. Let's see. An organization noticed unusual network traffic patterns indicating a possible DDoS attack. Which mitigation technique should the network administrator use to prevent the impact of such attacks on an enterprise network? Well, if we're dealing with a DDoS attack, I think it's safe to say that the application allow list really isn't going to help us any, right? That means we're doing a whitelist or allow list. And so we've got an allow list on there. If we didn't use, let's say that we didn't use an application allow list, let's say we used an application block list, I don't feel like it would matter one way or the other. It wouldn't impact us one way or the other. And so I feel like B can be thrown out, right? That's not really something that we're talking about when it comes to DDoS, right? More, in fact, of, you know, what applications do we want to allow in, which ones we're blocking. I don't think really like this has anything to do with that. So B, we could throw out B. That leaves hardening techniques, load balancing, or network segmentation. I feel like hardening techniques is a great answer for a lot of questions, but not against a DDoS attack. Right, we would use hardening techniques to do resiliency. Maybe I've got something dropping and I want to have resiliency in there. Maybe a little bit of redundancy, right? Those are all hardening techniques. Maybe we want to turn off specific ports. In this case, it's not asking about that. It's asking how we can mitigate a DDoS attack, but it doesn't give us any more information. And so since it's not giving us specifics on this, hardening techniques doesn't make a lot of sense. And so that leaves load balancing or network segmentation. I feel like network segmentation, if I was doing network segmentation, that'd be more an internal side, not an external side. And so it doesn't really make sense to utilize network segmentation in this aspect. However, load balancing does. If I've got 50 different web servers and somebody's trying to DDoS me, then I can split up that traffic. And so it's going to different servers simultaneously. And so we can more accurately handle that DDoS attack by spreading the load out over many different servers. And this will help mitigate a DDoS attack. It's exactly one of the forms or functionalities of load balancing. And so our answer is going to be C. If you got that one right, congratulations. If you got it wrong, that's okay. Did we learn something? That's what we're here for. We're here to learn something. All right, question number 3. A company is implementing a new secure communication system for remote employees. The system should ensure the confidentiality and integrity of data transmitted over the internet. Which of the following technologies would best meet these requirements? What do you think? What do you think? Remember, we want to read the question, read the answers, then reread the question. What are we trying to accomplish here? What do you think? These type of questions are indicative of Security Plus. We see a lot of acronyms being utilized. We see some ingestion of technology. We have a long-winded paragraph that's asking us a question. I would place this question in the medium hard range. It's definitely not something that I would consider to be easy. However, I would point out that once again, if you understand the acronyms, you know what a VPN is, you know what PKI and SACE and IPS is. If you understand those and what they do, that's 50% of the question right there, right? I feel like we can get rid of secure access, secure edge. Secure access or SACE really kind of goes into understanding more of a good comprehensive security system. But this question focuses on secure communication, not so much on the concept of comprehensive security. It's asking for a specific security technology. And I feel like that removes SACE from the aspect of it. So I don't feel like that's going to be a good answer. So I'm going to give it a C, right? I like IPS, I like VPN, and I like PKI. All of them are really good answers for this question. However, I feel like B, PKI, public key infrastructure, is important for securing communication and digital signatures. It doesn't really provide, it's not really a technology that we'd utilize for what we're asking here. It's more of a framework for managing those digital signatures, for managing those keys. It's not really the technology that we'd utilize. And so I feel like PKI, again, like SACE, is more of a framework, less of a actual technology. And if we read through this, it says the system should ensure confidentiality, integrity, and data transmitted over which of the following technologies, not frameworks, not plans, technologies. And so I feel like PKI and SACE, we can get rid of both of those just off of that, right? That leaves A, VPN, and D, IPS. Now, IPS is security technology designed to monitor and prevent network intrusions, but it does not provide secure communication. That's where VPN really comes into play, virtual private networks. IPS, intrusion prevention systems, just in case I failed to mention it, right? But VPN is going to be the better answer. It's going to be the better answer. And so now, had I thought, okay, well, IPsec would have been a good one for this, but I still would have gone with VPN, because when we look at the technology that we're looking for, right, and we're looking at ensuring confidentiality, VPN, check. Integrity, VPN, check. Over the internet, check. It does knock off all three of those requirements as part of VPN. IPS, intrusion prevention systems, doesn't do that. That's more for malware. SACE doesn't do that. PKI doesn't do that. Only VPN does that. IPsec would have been a good answer, but I don't think it would have been as good an answer as VPN. And so our answer for this one is going to be a firm A. A is going to be our correct answer on this one. All right, question number 4. A company needs to ensure that sensitive data stored on its servers is protected against unauthorized access. Even if the physical servers are stolen, they decide to use FDE. Which key management practice is crucial to ensure the security and availability of the encrypted data? Man, this is a difficult question. This is one I would put at the hard point right there, because we have so much information here, and you need to understand not only what an FDE is, but how it interacts with the system. And this isn't an easy question. Like normally I've seen questions like, oh, well, you know, basically asking what an FDE is, and that's not what this is asking. This is taking it one step further. It's these types of questions I really like, because I feel like if you can answer these, you're getting a good step towards your Security Plus. And this is what Security Plus is all about, right? All right. If you need more time, go ahead and pause. Go ahead and pause the video. If not, let's go ahead and answer this one. A company needs to ensure that sensitive data stored on its servers is protected against unauthorized access, even if the physical servers are stolen. They decide to use full disk encryption. Which key management practice is crucial to ensure the security and availability of the encrypted data? I feel like implementing salting is like a no-go, right? We're talking about hashing on that aspect of it. We're talking about keeping passwords safe. We're really not talking about the data on there, right? And I don't feel like salting would really help with the physical servers being stolen, right? Eventually, a salt can be broken. Given enough time, you can break anything, right? So I don't feel like D is a good answer. I feel like that's more for hashing. And C is closely related to that, using self-signed certificates. Now we're talking about certificate authorities. We're talking about that gambit of the internet, and that's not what we're asking here. We're asking about directly related to full disk encryption and how to ensure our keys are kept safe, right? And so self-signed certificates, they don't really have anything to do with this. We're talking about more of the internet and our web domain than we are talking about anything else. And so I don't feel like C is good there, right? That means using a symmetric encryption algorithm or implementing key escrow would be good answers. Now, I like the question. I felt like the answers were kind of lacking on this one, but that's okay. I feel like using symmetric encryption algorithm doesn't make a lot of sense. We would want to use an asymmetric. If I want optimal security, then I would want that. But if you think about it, let's look at the question. It says, when they decide to use full disk encryption, which key management practice is crucial to ensure the security and availability of the encrypted data? We're asking about key management. That means it's going to be implementing a key escrow. And that's the only answer that makes sense when we talk about keys. The rest of them have nothing to do with keys. And so key escrow is going to be the right answer on this one. We're going to implement a key escrow in order for their keys. in that public-private key pair to keep it safe, right? Implementing a key escrow is really going to provide us that aspect of it. That's going to keep those keys safe. It's going to ensure that our data stays encrypted, and it's going to make sure that our availability is in there, right? So we want to make sure that's talking about specifically with key management, and I feel like key escrow is the only one that makes sense. And there we go. Key escrow. There we go. All right, question number 5. A data center is considering various physical security measures to protect its assets from unauthorized physical access. Which combination of physical security controls would provide the highest level of protection? And this is a good one, right? So which combination of physical security controls, so we're only looking for physical security controls, provide the highest level of protection? I'll give you a second to read over this one. What do you think? I feel like this question could have been done a little bit better, and we could have just asked which ones of these are physical security controls and which ones aren't. But if you don't read the question, and this is why it's so important to reread the question and look at it and see, what is it really asking me? What is it truly asking me? In this case, it says, which combination of physical security controls would provide the highest level of protection? Another way of asking the same question is, which of these are physical security controls? Because if we read through the answers, some of them don't have physical security controls. Only one has all physical security controls. I think if we look at B, video surveillance, security guards, and access badge, none of those are physical security controls, right? We have detective controls, right, with video surveillance. We have, I mean, that right off the bat, just by identifying that video surveillance is a detective control, not a physical control, we get rid of that answer. Then we have lighting sensors and pressure sensors. I like the pressure sensors. I thought that was good. But if we look at lighting is a deterrent control, right? That's not a physical control, that's a deterrent. And so if we look at lighting, we know that that's not going to be something that we would utilize for physical controls. And so we can get rid of C. Now, D, bullards, is definitely a physical control. But microwave sensors and ultrasonic sensors, not physical controls, right? Unless we're putting that microwave on high strength, and if you get closer to it, you suddenly erupt in flame, right? But I don't think that's what we're looking here. I don't think we're trying to kill somebody. So would it be, and even then I would argue probably not a physical control, probably a technical control, right? But however, fencing, physical control. Access control vestibule, physical control. Bullards, physical control. Only A provides us with all physical controls. And so A is going to be our correct answer.